All right, let's dive right in. We're going to be talking about building a stronger, more disciplined, and, a more purposeful version of yourself. And we're going to use some incredible wisdom from an Islamic perspective to build a real, practical framework for doing just that.
But first, we have to start with a really fundamental question. The modern world throws the term self-love around a lot, right? Well, today, we're going to challenge that common idea and look at it through a much more powerful and, frankly, a more effective Islamic lens.
And this really gets the heart of it. On one side, you've got spoiling yourself, giving in to every whim. Sure, it feels good for a second, but just like a spoiled kid, it leads to entitlement and weakness. It's actually a form of self-destruction. But on the other side, building yourself. Now that takes discipline. It takes struggle, but the result is you become a genuinely better, stronger person. And that is true self-love.
So let's get into our first section and really dig into what it means to build yourself, starting right at the foundation.
You know when you're on an airplane and they do the safety instructions? They always tell you to put your own oxygen mask on first before helping anyone else. Why? Well, it's simple. If you can't breathe, you're no good to anybody. Islam teaches a very similar principle. Building yourself, making yourself stronger, that's step one. It's absolutely necessary before you can truly serve your family, your community, or the world.
So where do we even begin this building process? It starts with being brutally honest with yourself. You have to know your own capacity. What are you good at? Where do you struggle? What can you actually do? And maybe more importantly, what can't you do? The Prophet, peace be upon him, he warned against taking on jobs you can't handle, because it just devalues you. And all this self-knowledge, it should lead to humility. It means you appear just a little bit less than what you really are. And that is a powerful way to avoid the traps of arrogance and showing off.
Okay, so you know yourself. You're ready to start building. But what powers this whole journey? Well, it all comes down to mastering what we can call the engine of discipline.
And let's be clear, this is not just some nice-to-have personality trait. Discipline is the master key. It's the one foundational skill you absolutely need to learn or achieve anything else that's meaningful. It's that choice you make moment by moment, to let your mind, your higher self, be in the driver's seat instead of your immediate, fleeting desires.
Right. So if discipline is that important, why is it so ridiculously hard to maintain? What are these modern-day traps that are just constantly draining our willpower and making it so tough to stay on track?
Well, the main culprit is something called cheap dopamine. Our brains are getting absolutely flooded with easy, instant rewards. Things like junk food, mindlessly scrolling through social media, binge-watching shows. Every single scroll, every notification, every bite of a donut gives us this tiny little hit of pleasure. And over time, our brains get addicted to the easy stuff, which just destroys our ability to chase after goals that require real, sustained effort.
And this right here, this just lays out the whole battle. On one side, you have cheap dopamine. It gives you that instant reward, but in the long run, it weakens your judgment and basically makes you a slave to your own impulses. On the other side, you have delayed gratification. Things like studying or working out or learning a skill. It's hard, the reward comes way later, but the process itself, that's what builds real strength, patience, and intelligence.
So how do we fight back? How do we reclaim our discipline? Well, it's a powerful three-step process. First, you have to guard your system. You have to consciously cut down on all those sources of cheap dopamine. Second, you have to strengthen your faith, your iman. A powerful connection with Allah can give you the strength to overcome literally any bad habit. And third, you have to actively seek knowledge, because as we're about to see, knowledge and discipline are deeply connected.
This verse from the Quran just nails it. It shows this profound link between knowing and doing. The more you learn about Allah, about His power, His wisdom, His mercy, the more conscious you become of Him. And that consciousness, that sense of awe, that becomes the ultimate source of self-control. It pushes you to line up your actions with what's pleasing to Him.
Okay, so we've got our engine, which is discipline. Now let's look at the actual blueprint for success, a practical, prophetic action plan that you can apply to literally any goal you have in your life. And this comes directly from a teaching of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It is a super clear 5-step game plan. Step 1, get the skills you need. A strong believer is a capable believer. 2, have a clear vision. Know what you're aiming for. 3, before you do a single thing, seek Allah's help through prayer. 4, put in the work. No excuses, no laziness. And finally, number 5, if things don't go the way you planned, trust that it's Allah's will. It's all part of a bigger plan you might not see yet.
But what happens when you follow that plan perfectly? You put in all the work, you do everything right, and you still don't get the result you wanted. This is where a major, critical shift in your mindset has to happen.
We have to completely reframe what we even call failure. Just think about a baby learning to walk. Does it fall down once and just give up? Of course not. By falling 100 times, it's actually learning 100 ways not to fall. Every failure is just data. It's a critical part of learning, not the end of the road.
And this perspective is baked right into the Quran. After the Muslims suffered this huge setback at the Battle of Uhud, this verse was revealed. It taught them that even a devastating loss, something that looks awful on the surface, can actually be good for you because of the lessons it holds. Allah's perspective is just infinitely bigger than ours.
And this brings us to what might be the most important mindset shift of all. The world, other people, we judge each other based on results. We look at your resume, your grades, your bank account, the final trophy. But Allah's judgment, it's completely different. He doesn't just see the finish line, He sees the entire race. He values your effort, your struggle, your pursuit. What you tried to do matters so much, maybe even more than what you actually achieved in the end.
And this leads to an incredibly liberating truth. You might feel like nobody sees the late nights, the hard work, the struggle you put in when no one's watching. But your sincere effort is never, ever wasted. It is always seen, always recorded, and always valued by the one who matters most. So once you really internalize that, once you understand that it's your sincere effort that truly counts, well, that changes everything, doesn't it? The focus isn't about worrying about failure anymore. It's about your intention. So the only question left to ask yourself is this: what are you pursuing? Where are you aiming all of that precious God-given effort?